The difference between our shots tonight and our shots the other night aren't that much with regard to where you're shooting from, who's shooting it. It's the level of contest that you're facing because of their length and their aggressiveness and their commitment to guarding as a unit. You know, I don't know. I said this before the game. I'd be very interested to know where they are historically over a 2-year run, because defensively they're elite in every way that you would evaluate them.
Late Saturday night edition of the Garden Report.
Early Sunday morning edition.
Whatever it is right now. The Celtics lost, and we're going to talk about it. This is the Garden Report on Celtics Blog and CLNS Radio. Evans Clinchy is with me.
That is me.
I'm Jared Weiss. He's Celtics Blog. I'm CLNS Radio. So the Celtics, they lose this one 102-97. We had a controversial call at the end of the game where Rondo lost a 3 about a minute and a half after it happened. So we'll talk about that. We will talk about the Pacers, who are a really, really good basketball team. And then we'll talk about the Celtics, who played way above their punched way above their weight tonight, going up against a full-strength Pacers team after they lose Gerald Wallace for the season. They have Chris Babb making his NBA debut tonight. I mean, a lot of stuff going on here for the Celtics. First off, though, let's just talk about the Pacers, how they played tonight. They're just such a good, well-rounded team. I was looking at Roy Hibbert's numbers. He had 7 points in the first half, 8 points in the second half. All their guys are really balanced and steady. They don't need anyone to dominate. I mean, Paul George tends to kind of dominate for big stretches, but most of their guys kind of just play steady basketball throughout the game.
Yeah, I mean, somebody asked Frank Vogel before the game, what is it that makes your team so hard to prepare for as an opponent? And he was like, well, we have so many weapons. We have this guy that can kill you now and this guy that can kill you later, and we just kind of mix it up and attack you with this guy and then this guy and this guy. And it's impossible to know who to key on. I mean, I think Jeff Green in places did a really good job guarding Paul George for a few minutes here and a few minutes there, but during those minutes, Lance Stevenson killed them. And then Roy Hibbert would step up and do something. And it's just a different guy coming at you each minute, and you just can't really know at any one time who to key on. And it's, this is not like, playing the Thunder where Kevin Durant's going to light you up all night. This is just a team that mixes it up and finds different ways to beat you all the time.
And the depth. They had Louis Scola and Evan Turner coming off the bench tonight.
Yep.
Those are two guys that are probably pretty good players on bad teams, as they were basically before they came to the Pacers.
Yeah.
But they're at this point of their careers, or at least Louis Scola's, it seems like he's best suited as a really kind of go-to guy with a second unit. And Evan Turner now adjusting to being a sixth man, and he absolutely flourished tonight, especially in the second half.
Really good second quarter, and then good in the second half as well. I mean, the Pacers last year were known for having the best starting five in the NBA and the worst bench in the NBA. And there was just really this horrible imbalance after they left those first 5 guys. This year, like you said, they had Scola in free agency. He's a big pickup for them. And Vogel was saying before the game that don't forget, we haven't seen Chris Copeland yet. We haven't seen Andrew Bynum yet. Those two guys could really mix things up. I mean, that's 2 players that were on playoff teams last year. That's not true. Andrew Bynum was on a playoff team 2 years ago. You get my point.
Andrew Bynum was playing on a bowling tournament playoff team last year.
Yeah, okay. But it's 2 guys that have been on playoff teams in recent years and have contributed in a big way to playoff runs. And having 2 more guys in the mix, down the road somewhere might really make this team even better than it already is. It's just such a balanced team, like you said. So many guys that can kill you. It's really tough to beat this Pacers team. And credit to the Celtics because they came close.
We'll get to the Celtics, I promise. But, I mean, we got to see one of the best teams tonight in the league play. And I was really excited when I saw that they got Evan Turner. For considering what they had to give up for him. I mean, it's incredible that they were able to pull that off.
Yep.
A big issue I thought with this team was that Lance Stevenson was so great last year, and they needed that same kind of spark with that second unit. And, I mean, their second unit's been better this year, but it hasn't been dominant to the point that you think that they could beat the Heat. But you put Evan Turner in there, and he's that same kind of spark plug. He's just that all-around offensive energy that could just really launches your team and can make you go off on these huge runs. And he came in there and was just dominant for stretches in this game.
Yeah, and what they gave up for Turner was Danny Granger. And if you look at Danny Granger's numbers lately, I mean, the guy's 30, but he's fallen off a cliff playing like he's 37. I mean, his percentages are just so far down. He's just so inefficient. He's so unproductive on the floor. I don't know what happened to that guy, but they trade Granger's expiring contract or his buyoutable contract for Evan Turner. And they get a guy who could really help them in the playoffs. I think that the Heat are looking at that and saying, oh, God, this team just got even scarier. Like, they're not happy right now. The Pacers have an extra element they didn't have in previous years. I mean, like you said, with Turner and Skull and all those other guys, Mahimi's a good player off the bench too. Mm-hmm. They've got a lot of depth now, and it's something they didn't have last year. And even without that depth, they took Miami to 7 games last year. So this spring is going to be pretty tough.
All right, so quick Celtics talk before we go to part 2.
I guess we can talk about the Celtics. It is a Celtics show after all,
So Kris Humphries had another one of his best games. I said another one of his best games. He's been having a lot of those.
He's had a few good ones.
He's at a really good second half of the year.
He has. And you look at this matchup on paper and you're like, oh, he's going up against Roy Hibbert, who's 7'2" and is going to just crush him. But Humphries just uses his intelligence and his quickness to just find spots on the floor where he can get an angle on a rebound or, scrap for a loose ball. He just did little things to help the team, even though he's undersized compared to these Pacers guys, Hibbert and Mahimi both. He really just played up to a bigger size and just really gave everything he could to this team tonight. What did he have? 10 rebounds, 18 points. 6 of his rebounds offensive. I mean, it's a big game for him.
He was statistically better than Hibbert in almost every single regard. He had more block shots than who's one of the best shot blockers and rim protectors in all of the NBA. And Kris Humphries has been blocking shots lately. He's got a lot of chase down blocks. He had another one tonight. That's become like a theme for him.
Chase down block, yeah.
He looks more athletic than he did a couple months ago. I think he's probably in better shape than he was earlier this year, and he's probably a little bit healthier than he was earlier this year. I mean, Humphries seems like he's really in his prime right now.
Yeah, I'm surprised that we're saying this, but we are. I mean, I haven't watched him close enough his whole career to know whether he's one of those play your way into shape over the course of the season kind of guys, but he might be. Because like you said, he looks a lot more crisp than he did a couple months ago. It's noticeable. He's playing a lot better. His numbers are showing it. He can give them long stretches of minutes at a time. He can start the game. He can finish the game. He can do a lot for this team. It's a down season for the Celtics, but guys like Humphries have shown them something that might be an asset down the road. So that's interesting. A little sign and trade could happen this summer, and we'll see.
Well, he's the kind of guy you want to keep around.
And we'll see.
Yeah. Well, he doesn't always talk after games, but when the media surrounds him quickly enough, they'll get him. And there were some fun questions tonight and some really fun answers. So let's take a look.
It's been good, man. We're trying to figure out a time to get in a boxing ring or something and see who's actually tougher.
But this team doesn't win much. What's it like to go through this almost every night? It cannot be a pleasant experience, even at this level of playing in the NBA.
Man. I guess you only come to the games because you have to, or what?
No,
you don't enjoy it? All right, yeah. All right.
No, I don't. Not really.
No?
It's
Okay.
much better to ask winning questions.
Okay. We're going to try to win, and that's what we do. We're not focused on the last loss. And if you accept losing, you become a loser, and it's hard to come do your job. So we're just trying to win the next game.